Good evening, everybody. It's Kylie here from Hello Crafter. It's Monday night instead of Sunday. I thought I would get away with not doing one last night if I could come on and do one tonight. Hope you are having a lovely bank holiday weekend. Wanted to do a bit of crafting tonight, so I thought I'd share it with you. It might be interesting to some people. I don't know. I'd love to know if it is. So if you're watching this live or on replay, do say hi. Let me know what you think of the projects tonight, because we're going to be crafting with the Leaf Collection stamp. I used this in my class last week and we did a couple of fun techniques with it, and I thought actually these are ones that I've not done. I don't think I've done them live for a while. Well, I don't know if I've done them live. You may or may not have seen the techniques, you probably have, but this background stamp can be quite intimidating to some people when they see it in the catalogue. Maybe because it's such a large stamp, this is what it actually looks like mounted on a block. It's huge, so it fits Stampin' Up's largest acrylic block perfectly. You don't actually need to have a block with this one though, so I'm going to show you how to use it without a block. But anyway, you may have seen it in the catalogue, you may not be quite sure how to use a background stamp, so hopefully this will give you some ideas. Now, the techniques I'm sharing tonight are involving heat embossing. So we're going to do an emboss resist card, and we're going to do a technique called Joseph's coat, which is a really fun one to do. Really enjoy doing this one. And then I'll see what I've got time to do. Other than that, haven't really got anything like a finished project planned, so it may result in a finished card, it may just result in some lovely inky stamped panels. So let's see what we get up to. So I'll switch you down, and once we've got going, I'll share what I'm actually using. So where are we? There we go. Yep, there we go. And so I have some ink pads out. I've got some blending brushes. I have my clear embossing powder. I decant my embossing powders into these Tupperware pots, pop a lid on. I just find it so much easier than the small little pots, but they're obviously a bit bigger to store, but just handy to use. I've got my heat tool, I've got my Versamark ink, and obviously the stamp. So I'm going to start with the Joseph's coat technique first of all, and this one requires a panel of white cardstock, which I don't know what I've cut that to, but it's only rectangle. I think it's 9.5 by 13.8, although it doesn't really matter what size this is. And I'm going to begin by using my blending brushes to get some colours on, and I'm using 3 lovely bright vibrant greens: Lemon Lime Twist, Shy Shamrock, which is one of the new in colours, and Pretty Peacock, this lovely teal. And I'm just going to start picking up some of that colour onto the blending brush and just doing blobs of colour just randomly all over this piece. And it doesn't have to be neat at all, which is great. So I'll get that on. I can always go back and add in more. And this is the Shy Shamrock, is it? Yeah. This one's a bit juicier, so it might just come on a little darker. Yes, my blending brushes are in need of a little wash, which is why they're a little bit blobby like this at the moment, but they will go back to being, see, they're just a bit dirty, so they're a little bit rough Can you see? Yeah, they'll go back to being perfect when I've just rinsed them and let them dry again. So they're a bit overdue. So this is the darkest, this is the Pretty Peacock. So I'll put some little areas of that here and there just to fill in all the gaps. So the idea is try not to leave any white areas. Just get as much colour on as you can. There we go. And we need to make sure this is fully dry before we stamp onto this. So you can give it a little blast with the heat tool. Or you can take one of your embossing buddies. This is, do you know, I can't actually remember if Stampin' Up still sell these. 1 second, I'm just going to really quickly look and see if, yes. So Stampin' Up sell a little embossing tools kit, which this is part of. This is an embossing buddy, I suppose you'd call it. It's like a little bag filled with a white powder, which is similar to corn flour, I guess. And this really, really fine powder will just absorb any moisture, any greasy spots, any oily residue, anything from your fingers, because we just want that smooth. We don't want anything sticking to that now, because now we're going to stamp the Leaf Collection stamp onto that using the clear ink, which is the Versamark ink. So hi Lizzie, you're back home. I use this quite a lot, and I've got the refill as well. So I've got an older one that I've had for about 20 years. This is a slightly newer one, but they last for ages. So if you've not used one of these before, it's like a clear sticky ink, and this is what is the powder is going to stick to. So I've inked that up really well. So I have mounted my stamp, you can see, on the block, but if yours is just flat on the table, that works absolutely fine too. Just lay it flat, and now I'm going to take my coloured panel, carefully plop it on, and then you can just rub the back to make sure you transfer all that ink onto the cardstock, or you can actually use a brayer. Just hold it at one end so it doesn't move, do the bottom, and then just gonna do the top. That gets nice even pressure if you've got a brayer, or you can just rub like this. Just make sure you get right, if you're using your fingers, get right to the edges. And then carefully, because this pattern's going right to the edges of the cardstock, you can just about see it reflecting in the light where the lovely leaves are stamped. So just put that to one side, and then bring in my clear embossing powder. So the reason I pop it in the Tupperware is now I can happily sprinkle it all on, and it just falls right back into the Tupperware. Obviously you can still make a mess if you're not careful. It just means it's just an easier way to use it. Sprinkle it all over, shake any excess off, give it a flick just to flick anything excess off the back, and then you can heat that up. So give me a second while I just heat that. So just make sure that you don't see any powder left and everything's shiny. Okay, so now you can see it a little bit more clearly, and this means that it's done. So just give it a second, just to make sure that it's cool and not sticky anymore. And then what we're going to do now is cover this with a darker colour ink. You can use a dark blue, a really dark green. I'm going to use black though, so you can take a blending brush and brush black on, but I'm just going to do a really easy way. Just make sure there's no powder on here. I'm just going to swipe. Maybe give it a little rub. It's just the quickest way, and I know I'm going to get maximum ink coverage. And this isn't particularly juicy, this ink pad, so I can get away with this. Just making sure it's all in the nooks and crannies. And once you've done that, you will find that some of the black ink sitting on the, it's just sitting a little bit on the shiny. So you can take piece of kitchen towel, but I've just got one of these cloths I just use on my desk, and just give it a rub, and it rubs off any black ink that's kind of just sitting on that shiny embossing area, because it won't dry on there quickly. So this is all really vibrant now. So it's a completely different look now. So it almost looks like it's just, you've stamped it on black and coloured it, but you haven't. You've done it the reverse way round. So hopefully that will look great on as a panel on a card. Let's see what I've got. So I've got a black card base. I think it needs a layer though, so I've got some of the same colour, so the lemon lime twist. I'll just cut a piece just a little bit bigger than the panel. So I've just cut this down to 10 by 14.3. That will go like that. Just stick that down. Hello Emma, very nice to meet you, and Valerie too. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a lovely weekend and just having a nice evening. It's been strange weather, and it's really nice that I'm doing this with some daylight actually, because it's usually like proper night time I'm doing these. Right, I'm using the cloth because I've already got inky fingers. I don't want to ruin anything. So that is just a really simple layout. All I've got to do is just decide on a greeting for this, and this is where I usually have trouble. Let's see. I don't know. I've got some die cut bits and pieces here, but I'm not sure about that. I might just have to have a little think about that one, but I'll move on to the next technique. So what I've done already, prepared this earlier, which is very unlike me, but I've done the stamping and the embossing with clear onto a white panel, so that's already done. And now, sort of opposite to what I've just done, I'm going to brush colour on here. Yeah, so I'm just going to use the same colours as I've just done, and you'll just see a slightly different variation of this sub technique. So this technique, if you Google it, is called emboss resist. So the embossed areas are resisting the ink, and the more colour you put on here, the more those stamped images stand out, and the darker you go. So I don't know, I just love it, because depending on what colours you use and sort of how vibrant you go, you're just going to get different effects each time. So it's just, I just think that's really pretty as a background. Be careful with this one, this is quite dark. And then again, where you've got the white glossy areas, you're going to have a little bit where you inks kind of sitting on top. So get your cloth again and just rub it away, just clean it off, and those white areas will stand out even more. So yeah, I'm happy with that as well. So I'm going to do something different with this one though. Again, I haven't got a clue what we're doing about sentiments, but instead of this just being, say, a panel on a card like that, I'm going to cut it down. So I'm going to do, let's do 13.8 by I'm just going to chop a little bit off that end, and then I'm going to do 3 strips of 3 centimeters. And not the straightest, but it's fine. I think they go back together like a jigsaw, like that. And then hopefully that should fit onto a panel if I cut one. What did I say? Fit on there. This is not my strong point, doing measurements live. What I'm going to have to do is cut a piece down 10 centimeters. That'll do. So I've got a panel 10 centimeters by 14.3, and then that can go on a card. Can go on a white card base, or what about that? No. Do excuse me, I should be more organised than this, really, shouldn't I? So I've got my inky fingers all over it, but that'll go on like that, and then we can add a sentiment. So hopefully we can do that one in a minute as well. Right, I'll move on. I'm going to end up with several half-finished cards, aren't I? But I don't know. It gives me a reason to sit and finish them. This one I'm just going to go just a little bit different to the one we just did. No, I'm not. I'm going to... Oh, I don't know. What was I going to do on this one? I was going to do something completely different. Nah, I'll have a think about that, because I'm sure it'll come back to me. I did have an idea for that one, but I do have this one as well that I did. So the difference with this one is that I've embossed it onto watercolour paper. So Stampin' Up sells this one, which is really, really good quality, but they're quite small sheets, but you can cut them down to a card front size. But they're lovely and thick. I think they're at least 300 GSM, really thick, good quality. So watercolour paper, if you've not used it before, it just means that you can add lots of water and the inks kind of blend really nicely on it. So I thought it'd be fun to do one of my favourite things, which is to use the re-inkers. So these are the ink refills. They're what you fill up your ink pad with, but they're really handy to have for things like this. So I've got 5 colours here, so I've just put in just a small amount because I'm just using it for this card, so I only need a drop. So I've got Melon Mambo, Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green, Coastal Cabana, which is my favourite, and Highland Heather. So I'm going to make a rainbow on here. Using my aqua painter, water painter brush. They come in packs of 3, but this one's a nice wide one. I use it quite a lot. So normally I would I'd fill this up with water and use the water from there, but because I've got a little pot to hand and a little, I've got access to water, so it's just easier just to pop it in there. So, right, you can just dampen the paper slightly. This will help the ink flow a little bit better, and I don't want to put too much water on at this stage because I just want to see how my ink's going to flow. So hopefully you'll be able to see what happens when I start adding a little bit of the colour. So starting at the top with the Highland Heather, I'm just going to do stripes. So wash off the brush in between and then pick up the next colour, Melon Mambo, and you can overlap them a little bit as well. Just clean that off. Daffodil Delight is next, this lovely yellow. And where the daffodil and Melon Mambo meet, you're going to get a lovely orange. It's really vibrant. Then we've got Granny Apple Green. And then finally, Coastal Cabana. So I'm just using a little bit of water to blend the colours into each other a little bit to get a nice transition. Like that. I love it. I mean, I'd put that on the wall. I would just stick it on my wall like that. So fun. Yeah, I could just definitely do that technique all day. So it's quite wet, but it's not too bad. But you can, it's always handy to have a kitchen roll at this stage. You can mop up any bits with your kitchen roll and then make some art on your kitchen roll. Or you can use your dryer. Looks more or less dry, but I'm just gonna. It stays wet on the glossy bits, so I'm just gonna let them go. So yeah, I don't even want to cut that up now. I think I just want to leave it like that. I have to do something with it. I have to decide now. I don't know. I'm completely out of ideas. If anyone's got any ideas, I have to make it into a card. Right, let's chop it up. Just chop it up. Let's get rid of these. I'm going to cut it down to a smaller panel. I'm going to try and yeah, it needs to be, yeah, there we go. Now that will go straight onto a card. I don't know what colour though. Like, would it have to be black, do you think? Let's see. No, I don't like that. I think it'll have to be white. Doing a 10-fold card base, but I feel like it needs an extra layer, so I'm going to cut it down a bit smaller. I want to try and keep as much of the colour on as possible though, so I don't know. Oh, maybe I'll do a strip. I can't decide. Right, come on. Right, decision made. There we go. Double white layer, keeping as much of that colour. Yeah, I'm just gonna, yeah, Lizzie, I think you're right. I think it doesn't need much, does it? Just a sentiment. And yeah, I'm back at my usual dilemma of what sentiment. I think something simple. So I had a friend come round, my friend Steph, my lovely friend Steph, who loves to just organise my stuff, and she went through a load of boxes I've got on my desks, and she found all of these. All these die cuts in random boxes on my desks. And she put them all in one place for me like this. So it's amazing because now I don't have to get my dies out because I can just have a rummage through here and use something that works. So, but obviously I think I'm going to have another little play off camera because I'm feeling like it's a bit too much pressure coming up with something now. This is what happens when I don't pre-plan properly before I come on here. So I don't know, if anybody has any ideas for this, then let me know. What I'll do is I'm going to finish off this. Yeah, Lizzie, you'll have to get stuff around, but you're, I don't know, you don't need it. You don't need it, do you? Because you're always neat. All right, I'm going to leave these. I'm really sorry for not finishing them off, but I can't make my brain do it tonight. But I hope you enjoyed these 3 different techniques, and you know what, I might even do more tomorrow if I get my jobs done. I'll have another continue little play. So that is Leaf Collection stamp, background stamp. You can do these techniques with any background stamp. You can do these techniques with any stamp. Just use any stamp as a background. A leaf, a flower, butterfly, anything, hearts. So yeah, clear embossing powder, Versamark ink, some inks, blending brushes. Right, I'm off now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your evening. If you're doing something nice this week, have an amazing time. And I will hopefully see you next weekend. It may be, I'm going to try and do it Sunday night, even though I'll be at a show during the day, so I'll be tired. But I'm going to try and get on Sunday night for you. So look out for me then. Bye, everybody. Thanks again.